What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. I've been thinking a lot about borrowing successful qualities from one part of my life and applying them to other parts of my life. It's difficult because we have to analyze sometimes our automatic tendencies or with certain things that we've been doing for so long that we've forgotten what got us to build those things in our life in the first place. So they're automatic and sometimes long forgotten. I've always thought it would be helpful to borrow the consistency I bring to one thing, the intelligence I bring to another thing, and the calm of mind I bring to something else, and somehow call it forth in pursuit of a new thing or whatever I wanted. It's always been fascinating to me how those qualities feel like they are compartmentalized into just those aspects of our lives, and almost as if we don't have access to them elsewhere. But the truth is that the situations in which we display certain qualities are called by the situation itself. Different parts of us come to life, even ones we never knew to exist, when we are put in scenarios that call on them. So again, analyzing why certain parts of you come to life and then what exact levers can you pull to call upon them at will is quite a fascinating thing to think about. Because I don't believe that they're compartmentalized and are only locked into those scenarios. And all of you is available to you at all times. But experience has taught us that we find certain things easier than others and then are unaware of the hidden reasons for what drives our actions in one to be a certain way and have that not be available in another place. Let's talk today about one of those qualities that are top of mind for me that I mentioned in the beginning. Building upon some of the things I've been working through and hopefully breaking through as I'm living this in real time out loud with you guys. I don't give myself enough credit for a lot of things, but one of the things I don't discount about myself because of having countless experiences witnessing it and being told by others who have witnessed it is my level of consistency. If I start something, I do it. I see it through. I bring it to completion. I keep it going. I'm consistent to almost an inhuman degree. Part of it is because I expect so much from myself, and part of it is because I expect no less. If I say something that I'm going to do and actually begin doing it, which is its own landmine because knowing that you have so much consistency can keep you from starting things because you know you will keep going. But if I do start something that I'm going to do and begin doing it, it's almost like a switch. It no longer takes effort for me to do it. The commitment to do it itself is the moment that takes the most energy. The commitment itself. And there are many commitments this insane level of consistency holds back. So again, there's a dark side to anything taken too far. But once that switch of commitment goes off, and I've expended the amount of energy it needed to take it serious enough to turn it on and commit, the following actions, how many weeks, months, or years, or for some things over a decade, there's no effort required. Essentially, it becomes me. And it doesn't take effort to be me. So now, while acknowledging the shadows of this consistency, which, let's be honest, could be the root of where this entire inquisitive journey begins and ends, but if I was to try and acknowledge that the fault of too much consistency can keep you from taking on new things because you know yourself to be committing to it for life, and somehow I get past that fact, to go back to the point of wondering how I can bring such level of consistency to something while still having things outside of that that I'm not able to bring that level of consistency to, that I wish I would benefit from that level of consistency of, and somehow being able to borrow that quality over here to serve other parts of me. And I mean, just thinking out loud, I think I figured out that a lot of it hinges on the commitment, which requires a lot of energy to accept. So possibly the answer is just that the quality of consistency doesn't translate to other parts where I'm inconsistent because I have not yet committed. And that's something I have to ponder on because I didn't expect to discover that as I was talking. What I wanted to do was analyze some other aspects of what keeps me consistent in those realms, and I had some ideas come to mind. For my entire life, I've been a voracious learner. From teaching myself how to balance and ride a bike as a kid, to instruments that I've taught myself, to different difficult subjects in school. I've never had the problem with waking up another day and just learning again. Like that, for the greater half of a decade, I've had very little gaps in exercise. Again, maybe relating back in a hidden way to the commitment piece because I've always worked in 90-day programs. So there's probably, again, some keys of that. So once I hit play on day one on a Tuesday for a 90-day program, I just don't skip days and I just show up and give it my all, and it doesn't require any willpower after the decision to begin. I know the 90 days have to be completed, and if I take one day off, it throws off everything else and then brings into question when I should do the next workout or when I'm going to make the one that I just missed up. And that throws off the whole point of having a plan to follow. So instead, I just hit play and show up. And also, for the greater half of my adult life, like these other places where I'm consistent, I have had to rely on no outside motivation to get me to work, to provide, to seek growth while doing so. Although, admittedly, I'm a little lost in this department right now. But what I know of myself, though, through the countless decade-plus daily experience of myself as someone whose internal meter drives him to do more and analyze more and dig more and reach more. I've never required outside motivation to show up for these things in my life. And now I said all these things because in analyzing what's common about them and what I bring to them to have the level of consistency that I experience in them, and one of them being the commitment thing that we discovered together, the other major thing I realize is that the things that I find myself consistent on are the things that I allow myself the grace of a longer time horizon on. And that is another key to consistency that I discovered during this process of analyzing myself and trying to break this down of these automatic processes and things that I've done for so long. And it kind of relates to my previous discussion of urgency and peace and patience. Because the reality is, the only place that consistency lives is within the harmony of urgency and peace and patience. And I can see myself and witness the places in which I play this out. For example, with learning, what keeps me reading and listening and always curious with my ears open in every room is not because I expect it to land me in a pot of gold tomorrow from that one conversation or that one book. And again, this can have its downsides too, because someone in love with learning as much as me can take it too far and not implement all that he learns. But that's for another topic. Still, what keeps me, for example, exercising is not to achieve some immediate aesthetic or physical or health result by tomorrow. I literally began working out at 21 because I told myself that I wanted to be fit in my 30s, which is now, and that it would be very difficult in my 30s, not just to begin exercising and get fit, but to actually consider it a part of me and to build it as a habit. It would be too new at 34 or in my 30s to begin. My 21-year-old self knew that if my 34-year-old self was to have a fit lifestyle, that he would have to experience and expect that from himself for the past decade. So I didn't expect exercising to fulfill any particular short-term goal other than just serving my future self. And we're talking about allowing myself the grace of a longer time horizon here. And it's clear to see consistency loses steam with people whose approach to exercise or losing weight is to achieve some short-term goal like getting fit before a wedding, and then immediately after that, return to what is usual in their lifestyle for them. Tying your consistency to anything that is ever changing and devolving instead of growing is a recipe for failure. Your looks, your hair, your appearance, all of it is being shed this exact second into the next. What will remain is what you accumulate with time, what you build up, what grows. Consistency is a seed you plant a decade in advance of something you want to remain consistent at. And when you plant the seed, thinking a decade ahead, you just have to know that it's a tree you're nurturing. And then you cannot expect it to bear fruit by watering it for 6 weeks. And trust me, you wouldn't want it to. That's half the fun of it. It's seeing the slow growth, the progress of daily effort. And it's been the same with me, with what kept me self-motivated and always working. It was just serving the version of me when I was older who knew and needed to have a decade of curious learnings and ambitious lateral moves to become the bedrock of confidence of all that I want to become. The equation for my time invested to what I was working for is not a pretty one. I always gave more than what I was paid for, not because I expected the immediate return from the company I was working for. I knew my effort added to the bank of me. And that is a lifelong game and a lifelong accumulation, and one that I can never regret over depositing to. So, commitment and time horizon, two of the major keys to remaining consistent that I discovered. If there's one other thing I could extrapolate, it would be that in the places I find myself consistent, I have a clear why. If you've been listening, you can tell I know who and what I'm doing it for, and it's not hazy. I can clearly state it. And if I would venture to say in the places I find myself inconsistent, it would be because I don't have a clear enough reason of what it's serving, what the long-term time horizon is that I'm accumulating for. And that's holding back the commitment. I have not yet identified and envisioned the tree that will become of my sowing. And if this is not a major key, it is definitely the fuel or the material by which the key is forged. There is no reason to sacrifice if you are not sure what you are sacrificing for. To remain consistent is to choose one thing over another, to consistently make that choice over something else. It is the giving up of something else. And for that, you need to understand what is worth doing that for. That's all I got for today. I love you, family. Please share the show. See you in the next one.